Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 166th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by District 12's number one hater, Jaden.
Wow, that frames me in a negative perspective for this podcast.
It really does. It really does. Maybe that was me sort of projecting my own feelings onto you. You know,
That you hate District 12. You don't like poor people. You don't like the labourers.
it's a bit poffo, man. I'm not gonna lie. And we've also got Jack Quaid, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Oh hey, yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie, by the way. The fact that Jack Quaid was in it.
Was that shocking? Did any of you guys know?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Really? You knew Jaden?
Yeah.
Oh wow. It's one of those things where, like, I've seen this movie a few times, you go back to it and you realize that one person is like, you make the connection.
Yeah.
I never saw you in this movie, but now you're clearly right there. So that's pretty wild. I was not expecting that at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So subscribe and all those things if you enjoy. This week, the movie we're reviewing is The Hunger Games, which opened in the US on March 23rd, 2012, over 10 years ago, which is kind of weird. It was directed by Gary Ross, friend of the show, having also directed Ocean's 8, so good for him. It's an action-adventure film, and the synopsis says, Katniss Everdeen voluntarily takes her younger sister's place in the Hunger Games, a televised competition in which two teenagers from each of the 12 districts of Panem are chosen at random to fight to the death. Pretty cool.
That synopsis could be way shorter and way more intriguing.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. Yeah. We don't need to start introducing, like, Panem into the synopsis, you know what I mean?
No.
It's a bit unnecessary. But yeah, cool concept, though. Do you reckon Suzanne Collins, she wanted to create a cool story, cool books, cool narrative world, make a shitload of money as an author? Do you realize that, do you think she realized that she accidentally basically invented, like, the biggest genre in the video game history? Because that was, like, a huge byproduct of what she did, and I don't think you could have ever expected that. Didn't think of it that way until right now.
You got Minecraft modders to really thank for it, don't you? Like,
I
Minecraft,
guess
Hunger Games, and then
is that where it started? Yeah. I know, like, so is PUBG the first battle royale? Like,
no,
proper?
I think H1. I think a H1 mod came before that, and then they released King of the Hill.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. You're right. I do remember that. But yeah, I think what you have to thank, it was Minecraft and the H1Z1. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, crazy evolution there. Fitzy, I want to start with you. What's your history with the Hunger Games franchise? How many times you've seen this movie, and what did you think this time?
My history with this, what's my history? I guess I watched it. We part of the Seven Seas at a friend's house.
Oh, okay, all right.
When I was in like year 6 or something, so that was my first experience. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed the first half way more, or like everything leading up to the games. I thought was like great, just like the anticipation, media stuff, and what we see of District 12 and stuff. And then the games is like they're still good. There's some like great moments, but it does like fizzle out a bit. Good movie overall.
Yeah. I'm pretty much right there with you. I knew I was going to enjoy rewatching this movie. I've been a long time fan of the series. I've seen this movie probably this is probably my fourth time or so. I've read all the books years and years ago now, but so I was very familiar at a time with this world. But it's been so long now that it's like, I don't know, like I really, doing this is sort of like reintroducing myself into the world, which is actually kind of cool. So coming back to it and reviewing it a bit more critically, I am glad to say, I actually think it's a pretty damn good film overall. Like some of the heavier action scenes are scary and violent and quite effective, even without actually being gruesome or having much blood or anything like that. Dialogue and acting is solid, and it just has a good cadence and flow to it most of the time. I found as it takes you through a lot of the varying sequences. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was quite a breezy watch. Thumbs up. Jaden, what's your history with the franchise, and how'd you feel about this?
This franchise is like the first like kind of book series I ever like gobbled up, like just all of them, just one day, just done. This was like
one day. What? Really?
well, 1 day per book.
Oh, that's crazy still. Yeah, awesome.
Like this was like my introduction to young adult fiction and nerd shit, pretty much. And the movie as well was a part of that. I love it so fucking much. The sequels as well, like like it was the one time I ever skipped school intentionally was to go see Catching Fire on opening day in year
Oh,
six.
man.
This series means a lot to me, and I love it. And I think on a rewatch, I still love it. Like there's moments I send shivers down my spine, and like I can, as scenes are playing out, I can remember back to like book excerpts like that, detailing it more.
Oh,
Like
really?
I
Wow.
really love this stuff.
God, it sounds like it. That's awesome. I I wanted to jump on something Fitzy said, because I felt the exact same way. And I also enjoyed the first hour before the games more than the second half, especially this time. Did you, how did you feel about that, Jane? Did you respond similarly? And if your trajectory with the film was, if that surprised you at all, because I wasn't expecting that going into it, but that's how I ended up feeling.
To an extent, probably. I think there's still a lot. I think there are some pretty good moments in the games themselves, but I think
Yeah,
like
definitely. Yeah.
in terms of like the arena we're given, and in terms of like the story that we're then told in that arena, it is like the most generic part of the film, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
What do you think it was, Fitzy, for you that drew you into the first half more than the second overall?
I don't know. Like I think the media, the media like kind of rampage and like the sense of anticipation in the first half is like really amazing.
Yeah.
And like even the selecting the tributes thing is like probably one of the best parts of it. It's just like so, it's such a great atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. I found the steps before the games very, I don't know, it's very breezy, very seamless, sort of as we get
Mm.
just taken. It's funny because like it is very much like an introduction to a world. Like it is, serving the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone role here in this series of having to introduce everything to you. Never, it feels very easy to watch though. It never feels overwhelming or like you have to remember a lot. Just like the way it takes you through, for example, like the training section, just as one example of that first hour. They drop a lot of concepts on you, and it just, I don't know, it's just very easy to watch, very enjoyable. The dialogue does a really good job at doing that as well. I don't know, I feel like all the exposition is really good in this movie, actually. Like the way everything feels like it just comes up so naturally in conversation, and it never really feels like you're getting an info dump. But that's what, like, that you're learning everything about how the world works through sponsors and the intention of having to appeal to the audience, and all these ideas that are very, very important to the story are sort of just brought up very, very easily just by characters just like giving advice and stuff like that. I thought it was quite impressive, actually. And of course, that's not even talking about like the actual world building stuff when it comes to the districts and all that kind of thing, and how the games, like the fact there is like what the Hunger Games actually are in the first place. Yeah, so no, I was quite impressed by a lot of that stuff. In terms of the world building, how repulsed are you, Jaden, by the Capitol just overall? Because like their costume design and their hair and makeup and stuff, it's pretty it's pretty outlandish.
Yeah, like I am not a massive fan of the costume design, especially like even Effie. Just.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, she sticks out like a sore thumb in District 12. It's fantastic, obviously. But like the capital itself, I think is rather nice, like designed. But yeah, the capital people are a bit of a struggle.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I don't know. I wrote down they're kind of revolting looking, which might be a bit harsh, but it was also probably the intent.
I think it works for like the presenters and the hosts, but like for like the average people there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When they're at the parade and they cut to like just the people cheering them on, I don't want these people to like me. You know what I mean? These people suck. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was something that really, I don't know. I can't remember. Jaden apparently can. I can't remember how it's described in the book or anything like that. That was something that really stood out to me. I mean, how can it not stand out to you? It's pretty outlandish stuff, very colourful. And I guess, I don't know, on the Capitol, like when they were, for me, I'm glad that you guys brought up the interviews part, because that was probably one of my favourite scenes in the movie, actually. When they were doing the interviews with all of the tributes, it just extra sunk in for me, like how messed up this whole thing is. and the costume and the look of everything is just sort of the surface level aesthetic of it. But then I don't know, it's just it feels so wrong, the whole thing. And I think the movie actually does a really good job of that, because when you're in the games themselves, you sort of get lost in the action and the drama and the thriller nature of, like, trying to stay alive, and that's kind of fun in itself. But when you zoom out, the interviews is like a great example of like how weird it is that these people make a show out of killing teenagers, and the fact that the teenagers have to get up on stage and dress up and kind of forced to lean into it,
Yeah,
to have any hope of survival, like for sponsorships. It's really weird. And the way, I mean, it's like when Peter talks in that scene with Katniss at night, the night before, of how he doesn't want to lose himself and all that kind of thing. It's like, that's so spot on, because it's like you kind of have no choice but to, like,
you have to buy into the games.
exactly, yeah, you have to like participate, you have to be someone you're not to really have a chance. And it's just weird, man. I don't know. The whole thing, just on a conceptual and morality level, in that first half, just sort of grossed me out. So yeah, I really liked that particular scene as well. I think you mentioned District 12, right, Fitzy? Like the intro to that side of it and
Yeah.
the actual opening of the film. Yeah, well, I really liked it as well. What stood out to you?
I don't know, I think this film's like really got some really like well directed moments and parts. Like the way they just like showed the miners for like a second, and they just like showed them marching like with their like solemn faces. Like um,
Yeah.
that was really like effective. And like even later on, they do the same thing with they use like sound and like really interesting ways. Like the start of the games, it's just like frantic silence kind of, and then yeah, the introduction to District 12 was like really cool. I thought the way I don't know, we got shots from all over town kind of, and it didn't ever feel like too much either. Like it just felt like just right.
Mm.
It was very well done. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad you mentioned the start of the games as well. I want to talk about that later. But
Mm.
bit of trivia. Co-writer and director Gary Ross has stated that his decision to go with shaky cam work had a lot to do with the urgency of what's going on and to reflect Katniss's point of view. He also mentioned that he wanted to avoid a polished static camera look at all costs, since that would reduce the violence to mere entertainment and be completely contrary to the movie's intention. That last part sort of more talks about the games, but his camera work is present throughout the entire film, and I especially felt it here in this District 12 sequence, actually. The way it showcases the poverty, I don't know, in like a really interesting way. Like, I think if you were to get that first opening 10 minutes in a timeline in like an editing software, there are so many cuts. Like the camera's constantly moving. It's never static at all. Lots of fast cutting, lots of just very, very brief shots, all just sort of smashed together. But it's very effective. Yeah, and it was never overwhelming. It was, I don't know, it felt, as I was watching it, it stood out to me as a lot of thought went into this. And I don't know if I necessarily would have shot this the same way, but I'm glad, because in a way, it sort of does feel like it could be a pretty straightforward, just, oh yeah, you know, we want to introduce the characters in this shitty situation, and let's showcase how bad it is and all that kind of, like, I feel like on paper the direction could have been quite straightforward and quite boring. I don't know, but it was just very fast paced and very interesting. I quite liked it. And also that whole, I don't know, that vocal humming music they had going on in that sequence was quite haunting as well. The whole score was actually quite good. So yeah, shout out to District 12 and how much it sucks. Does Jennifer Lawrence, does she get flack for this role, or does she get flack in general, or am I making this up, Jaden? Because for some reason I have this perception, but maybe I'm totally off.
No, you're making that up.
I'm making it up. Good, good, okay. Because I was all ready to stand up and defend her, but I don't know where I got this narrative from. It's maybe it was past me or something. I don't know.
I think at that point she'd already won an Oscar, right? So
Did
maybe
she
at
win for Silver
Silver
Linings?
Linings, yeah.
Ah,
So
okay.
maybe at the time there was maybe talk about like what's an Oscar winner doing taking on this, but like
It's
I was
interesting.
I was pretty deep in these circles, and I didn't really hear anything bad about him.
I think she's great in the movie. I think for me, like, a standout moment of her performance was actually, like, overall, like, I really just think she embodies Katniss really well. But there was that standout moment of her again back at the interview scene actually, where she's trying to act charming on stage, but she was clearly very uncomfortable. I don't know, like go back and watch that scene. I feel like she has sort of like this idea of, with the way she delivers the lines, she knows exactly what she's meant to do and what everyone backstage is wanting her to do, but like she's clearly struggling to do it, and it sort of comes together. And as she progresses throughout the interview, she gets better at it, but it's still, there's this underlying sense of like, oh god, she could fall apart at any second. I thought that was a really good scene. But how do you guys feel about Katniss and the performance here?
Wait, did this come before? Did this come after Silver Linings Playbook?
I think they were the same year.
So was it Silver Linings 2011?
Was it really? I thought it was 2012. Shit,
Maybe.
I thought this was like a breakout performance, but no, I mean it's very good. Like I don't know what to compare it to, but I guess compared to other YA protagonists, it's like very I don't know. It's got some like subtlety to it, I guess. She plays like a tough character really well.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but it is. It's like she's relatable, like you want any protagonist in this kind of series to be. But she's, I don't know. Yeah, she's got sort of an edge to her that sort of makes her different. Like, I wouldn't say. I feel like I'm much more like Harry Potter than Katniss, just as a personality. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you do spells on the weekend.
Come on, man. Well, I wear glasses, and when I'm in Bali, they call me Harry Potter. Does that count? Maybe that was traumatizing for me. So yeah, no, I think she's very good. Fizzy, you mentioned actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump over it at the time, but you mentioned the scene when Katniss volunteers, right?
Oh, maybe, yeah, but I think that's like still very, very great, yeah.
That scene's like still really good, actually. I don't know. I feel like it's just sort of cliche, like volunteerist tribute. We all know it, but yeah, going back to it, I was surprised that it was actually quite a good scene. And then my favorite part was actually a little bit after when they have to say goodbye, in that room. Imagine having to say goodbye to your family. Like, if you're the family, you want them to obviously to win, but like odds are, is that it's a death sentence that you get to watch on TV with everyone else. It's just, again, it's going back to that, like just the whole concept just being so weird and messed up. And the way they shove the family out of the room too, that whole sequence, yeah, it's all quite effective. I liked it. But speaking of District 12 tributes, the other person nominated was Peeta. And can I just say, I need to get this off my chest for like, I don't know, 12 years at this point. The spelling of Peeta really triggers me, man.
People share that one. Don't worry.
Good.
No, I wouldn't say triggers, but like there's meant plenty of discourse and jokes about it.
Thank God, man. Yeah, it was hard. And do you reckon she like pronounces it differently as a result?
Yeah, she does.
Peeta, as opposed to just Peeta. It's Peeta. You have to like do the little A at the end. Oh man, I hate it. I'm so glad I'm not alone. Thank you, Jaden. Anyway, he's here. And then, of course, there's Liam Hemsworth at the start as well. Although I must admit, you don't really... He doesn't have much to do in this movie, actually. Not nearly as much as I remembered. I was kind of surprised by that. But after this first entry, Jaden, where do we stand on Team Gale versus Team Peeta?
Okay. You can't be asking this question in 2023.
Of course I'm going to ask the question, man.
But the question was always irrelevant anyway, Because...
Nah, man, it's very relevant. No. Gale's jealous of Peeta, no doubt about that.
Well, yes, he is, for sure. I think actually, one of the biggest weaknesses of the later movies is that they do buy into that plot line a bit too much. But if you do force me to pick a side, it would be Gale. Peter's too manufactured.
Like what as a personality? What do you mean by that?
No, the relationship is manufactured. Even when she goes back to District 12, she still likes Gale.
Yes,
Gale is her actual friend.
Yeah, childhood. That's true. Yeah, I'm honestly... I mean, I don't dislike Peeta, other than his spelling. And I agree with you, though. I'm Team Gale. I agree. As you said, they're actually friends. I feel like they have pretty good chemistry. I don't know. Like, that scene... They only get that one scene with them, like, hunting, and that was a pretty good scene, to be honest. I liked it. Fitzy, we need your definitive verdict on this. Well, not definitive. We'll definitive when we finish the franchise, of course. I'm going to ask this every movie. But
Every movie? Oh, my God. I mean, Gale seems like a good dude, I don't mind Gale. Peeta, I forgot Peeta like totally kind of betrays her, in this film.
Yeah, so, true.
I guess I'll go Team Gale.
Okay.
But I like Peter's kind of awkwardness, I guess. So maybe Peter will grow on me, but for now, Liam Hemsworth got to stick with the Liam, so I
Sure.
go with Gale. Yeah.
Sure.
Do you
Oh,
also
that's
treat your
fair.
girlfriend poorly?
Anyway, so what was I going to say? Yeah, I feel like they actually do sort of brush over a little bit the fact that like Peter teamed up with the dickwads in the start of the games. There, you know.
Yeah, but it was a survival thing, and like I
I
don't think
guess.
I think he always I think the intention was that if they ever did find her, like him and Katniss would team up and beat the fuck out of him. But I don't
Yeah, I
think it was
guess.
I don't think it was a genuine betrayal.
No, no, no. I don't think so either. But even like I don't know. Like she didn't really seem to mind. I guess.
Mm.
I guess it's understandable the situation and all that. At what point, like, do you think exactly? Jumping deep into the games now, but I feel like it's sort of relevant. What point exactly does Katniss, do you think, decide to start leaning into the relationship aspect with her and Peter and like actually start playing to the cameras and go with the romantic angle? Because I don't recall there being like, I was trying to think about it. I don't recall there being like a specific moment in the film where we sort of, where she seems to like decide that that's the best path to take with it. That it's sort of like she clearly does decide it at some point though. Like by the time they're in the cave, it's like, oh yeah, well we know what's going on there. But before that, I wasn't quite sure on where she sort of sat with it. You know?
But like before the cave, we don't really get any of that. Like it's just kind of when they announce that there's two victors that she like runs
Yeah,
over to him and then starts like acting like lovey-dovey or whatever. So
yeah. So do you think maybe that the announcement made her change her strategy and just go for it?
yeah, I guess so. I don't think she was like too conscious of that. I mean, how could she have been when Peter was like on the other team?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's true. Yeah, that makes sense. Because for me, I don't know. There's also the other sort of aspect of it, which is it's obviously we all know it from this film and from this book, but I think it's a really cool narrative element of it, which is like it's an act, but like, is it? You know, and or like how much of it does the act then start creating real chemistry and all that kind of thing? For me, like at least the way it was played, like that scene where Katniss gets like really concerned that Peter ate the berries. Like, tell me that wasn't super genuine. That concern. Katniss be genuinely concerned for Peter's life, like
Oh,
deeply.
right, right. Yeah, no, that was. I think that was very real.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it makes sorry, maybe concerns wrong. It makes sense for her to be concerned. Obviously, like she's got a pretty good chance of winning if they're together. But like, I mean, like, yeah, she actually really cares about him. That's sort of I sort of got in that scene that it was sort of beyond just like her trying to play for the cameras or whatever, and that it was sort of developing beyond that in the first. And that only progresses, I think, if I recall correctly. But that was sort of a first sign of it to
Hmm.
me.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think they're like in love in like the traditional sense. I think that's kind of made up. But I think like they obviously develop a very close connection that no one else would have because they're both like in this situation together.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's totally fair. Absolutely. Dude, that whole rule change, speaking about it, oh my God. At the start of the film, I wasn't thinking properly. I forgot about it. At first, like when they're sitting on the train together at the start, I thought it was crazy. I was like sitting there like, why can a district pair not win together? Because that's like ridiculous to me. Just that should always be a rule, in my opinion. Um, not that the game should exist at all, but like if the games have to exist, that's something I would make permanently a rule. Anyway, so what kind of crap is that announcement in the middle of the game that suddenly there can only be two winners? Like I'm just talking about within the rules within the universe, not a criticism of the movie, obviously, because it perfectly explains it. But like, dude, if you're in if you're in the capital and you're like a TV critic, for example, right, and that shit happens on the Hunger Games on Channel 9, you'd be like, what is this bullshit writing on the fly? These
No,
writers have no idea what they're doing with no plan.
but it does work for the star-crossed lovers angle.
Oh yeah, it
And like
works for that.
the capital were already eating it up, so I'm sure like they wouldn't have really
Oh
complained.
man, maybe I don't know. I feel like those the Hollywood Reporter equivalent of the Capitol would have had some choice words. Or maybe not, because maybe they'd be executed. I don't know. They probably actually would be. Yeah, that was some bullshit right there. And then, oh my god, at the end when they reverse it again, that shit it makes me pissed off, man. I don't like it at all. Just made a fool of themselves. Like how embarrassing. And I know it's obviously like one of the main aspects of the ending is that where we leave it with Snow, and they've stepped on some toes there with him, but like how embarrassing. Like for the Capitol and their reputation, that like right at the end, the dude has to come on the mic on the PA system and go like, "Oh, stop! No, please stop, please."
That was Toby Jones, wasn't it? Like, because
Yeah.
he was a TV reporter, but then
No, wasn't it Wes Bentley's character? Wasn't it?
The voice definitely sounded like Toby Jones to me.
I never thought the voice was Wes Bentley, but maybe I'm wrong. It makes it. You'd think it would be, but I don't think it sounded like him to me. But I don't know.
No, I'm 99% sure it was Toby Jones. But yeah, it was weird that you saw his voice there because he was like a TV reporter.
Yeah, true.
One part of the game.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
The few times that they do cut from the games to like the news desk, to get their little exposition dumps. I still love them. I think they're great. It feels like it feels like it's drinks on cricket, and they cut back to the desk in Australia, and they're given the analysis of the last papers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing, and a great at that point it is most obviously just trying to give a bit of exposition, but I still love it.
No, I love it too. I totally agree, and it's like obviously exposition, but the way it's done, like of course, like it makes perfect sense contextually. Like, of course, the reporters would like reintroduce, like remind you what's going on, and like because they always do that if you watch any sport, if you watch anything. So it makes perfect sense, and it'd be much better than like what's the alternative? It's I don't know, like Peeta saying to Katniss, watch out, those are tracker jackers. They'll get you. Like that's the alternative, and that's us. So yeah, no, it's definitely much stronger than that. I totally agree. Now that we're firmly in the games, I guess. The games, I noted that, so I paused it just to check. The games begin an hour and 6 minutes into this film, which is almost halfway. Almost exactly halfway. It's pretty much exactly like a 50-50 split between pre-games and the actual event itself. How did you... We talked a bit about how we felt about the start and stuff, but like, how did you overall feel about the games as sort of an extended piece in itself? Was it tense, entertaining? What was your engagement with it?
Yeah, I think as for like all the necessary, ticks all the necessary boxes, it has like a lot of like important moments and stuff. So yeah, like I enjoy the game still. I still think the first half is better, but the games aren't unenjoyable.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with that. I don't think anything for me in the games tops the very first scene though.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff, dude. When the sound and the score and the editing all combined in that first scene is really, really strong. Like the piercing, like I don't even know, like I guess it sounds sort of like tinnitus or something, I guess. Like the sound they use there, and obviously partially all the editing they do partially to hide and get around the violence to make sure they secure that M rating, which is, I was very conscious of that, but it really, really works as well. Never showing anything too crazy, but it has this sort of frenetic pace to it that's, you feel like, I don't know, you feel like the rampage that these people are going on. It's like, it makes it even more off-putting. And I think what Gary Ross said earlier about everything he's doing with the camera work and the pacing of it to make it feel sort of, like we're not trying to endorse the violence in any way. He was totally successful in that.
Yeah.
Great scene. Yeah.
Well, like that's what like the horns are like such a powerful effect for that in themselves. Like early, like in that first scene with like, I don't know, the kid's death or something, you don't have to like show that, you just get the horn sound. But like even later on, like I think my favorite moment in the film is when Candace shoots Jack Quaid. When Jack Quaid, throws the spear and it hits Rue. Because it's just like so sudden. And it's like she doesn't think twice, She just kills him, and 2 horns go off. It's very effective stuff.
Cannons.
What?
The cannons. Yeah.
Oh, cannons. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was, that's a really cool, obviously from the book, but yeah, I think that's a very effective thing as well. And something about like the way they do, I can't remember if it's got a name or something, but like when they, at night project the fallen onto the dome or whatever it is,
Mm.
like something about that is the way it's done in the film, where it's like the patriotic music plays. It's weird. It's the whole thing that we're talking about here with the themes of how it's just making you feel gross about the whole thing. It really does a good job because it's just like it's like I'm meant to honor their sacrifice or some weird shit. Like there was some like they were I don't know, like soldiers or something. It's just weird, the whole vibe of the way they do that. And all they get is like, all these they're kids, and all they get is like their quick face up on the screen for like 2 seconds. It's pretty whack. Jen, did you want to touch on anything with the violence, actually?
No, other than I completely agree with everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, later on, they do a similar thing with like the dull tone when Kato fucking snaps that kid's neck.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. The deafness to it is I think it's key.
I think it totally is as well. Sometimes it's might not seem obvious, but it's just so right when, and it's not uncommon, for there to be no sound in certain scenes in films, like when people scream or when violence is happening, but it's just almost always very, very effective. Do you remember, this is another one I might be making up, I need to check with you, Jaden. Do you remember there being a conversation at the time of release around the violence of this franchise? And for me, it was the books, actually, but just any of it.
I think we discussed it in class.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in English in year 8 we did discuss like the violence and endorsing it, or whether it did, or whether it does or doesn't, or something like that.
Yeah, that does sound like a very English thing to discuss. Wait, Fitzy, did you read the book in year 8? I assume you would have.
Yeah, I can't actually remember if I read it all in year 8, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fair.
I read a decent amount of it, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I remember because I read the books, I assume probably a similar time Jaden did. Like, I read them before I watched any of the movies, but still, like, I knew about them because of the movies. So I would have read them around 2012, I guess. And at the time, I do recall there being this, like, maybe it was like some news at the time, or I don't know what it was, but there was a conversation for me of like, and my parents were like, are we going to let him read the book because it's meant to be really violent? I remember that. And it's so weird now in retrospect because it's like, it's very violent in its implied violence, I guess. But it's not actually, and the movie, I don't think the book's very violent either, actually, to be honest. Like, outside, it's sort of in the same way the movie does. Like, it's all there, but it's like, I don't remember there being anything crazy in the book about, like, crazy blood and, whatever. If I remember that right, I think they both sort of handle violence quite nicely, actually. You always feel it, but, whether you could, like I said, you could argue it's just to, make sure they get that, capitalism working, they get that rating, they get that box office. But it also, I think, adds to the story and the material, I would argue. Speaking of violence. Oh, yeah, no, well, yeah, we got to talk about Rue, Karkana, That's a pretty big moment, I think, from this movie, I would say.
Yeah, I think I think the little cut to District 8 afterwards is also just brilliant.
That's great. Yeah.
I think that something the series, like both book and movie, does so well is just so the kind of thread of revolution to the point to the point in Mockingjay. Yeah, I think this movie's with the little things it does, with the dialogue between Snow and Seneca, and then the cuts, all that stuff, great.
Yeah, sowing the seeds very well. Glimpse at what's to come. Yeah, that riot scene was really good. Just a really good scene, by the way. Just like the way it was directed was very, very cool. Same camera stuff I've already talked about, but it was just done well there. I assume, Jaden, do you recall if that scene's in the book? Just because I'd be surprised if the book cuts away from Katniss's perspective like that. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, that part I don't recall. No.
Yeah, okay. I assume it's not, in which case I give huge props because I think it's a really good scene and it's a very good decision to do that on the filmmaker's part, if that is true. But anyway, Rue dying was... I mean, I don't want to act like I was like,
Unfazed.
in tears or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that too. I don't want to act like I was unfazed. I don't want to act like I was in tears or whatever. But I did for some reason just because I feel like this scene's talked about so much. But for some reason this time I was kind of actually taken a little bit aback by like the way I know it's kind of deep in my opinion. Like the way they handled the POV experience of her death was kind of like like it wasn't anything crazy like you haven't seen before, but it was like the way you get into her perspective and it like fades to white. I was like, damn, dude, that's pretty. And knowing that she's like an 11-year-old girl, it's kind of I don't know. I found it kind of somber to be honest. Just that particular choice to do that. So that was probably my main takeaway from the scene this time.
The movie, like, obviously it tries to convey it as well as it can, but like in the book, it very literally mentions like how much Katniss sees Prim in Rue, and I think that I don't remember exactly, but I think there are lines where like she does see Rue with like Prim's face, so like that kind of feels far more visceral in that it feels like her sister dying, and it still feels like that in the movie too, and they do a decent job of trying to convey that as well.
Yeah. No, I think she does make the comparison, but yeah,
she does.
That is in the movie. I think she does. Doesn't she? Did she say something? Or am I just making that up? Did she not quickly say something about? Oh, actually, why would she say that to her? I don't know.
I mean, she sings a song that she sings to Prim.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I guess that's something. But yeah, no, I didn't get the idea super strongly just watching it though, to be honest. So that actually makes it definitely more sad for sure. This probably isn't the best thing to transition to from that, but Haymitch is fun. I liked Woody Harrelson a lot in this movie. Actually, I was quite surprised by that.
I like how it really does show like the importance of his role outside of the game, like as his mentor, talking to sponsors, talking to the director, and that initial what do you call it, disinterest, how it fades quickly, and then it becomes a part where like he is actively trying to help win the game.
Yeah, I'm glad with him they didn't have like an arc where they had to like win him over or something. It was like they just showed him, as he kind of wants to be, but then he has this other side to him where he does want to help. It wasn't like a whole thing.
The way, 100%. The way I interpret the character is that I think it's actually kind of a very, very sad character because I think he cares deeply about all of them, but and about them every single year. But it's just one of those things where like he's a drunk dick, understandably, because every single year he has to meet these two kids on this train before they all inevitably die, and he has to, and his role, and again, because he's super crucial in this film. I can't rate his performances in past years, obviously, but I presume all the time, like or at least at first, he was, very passionate about trying to help them and putting his best foot forward in that regard. And I presume, I don't recall how long ago he won or whatever, but say I don't know, maybe it's been like 20 years or so.
I have a feeling he might have won the 50th quarter quell.
Oh, so 25 years. Okay.
Yeah, he might have, but I'm
interesting.
Not sure.
Yeah, right. So that's 25 years of this guy like having to help these kids and probably, I would assume, just knowing him, like really trying his best to get them the best advantage they can, and then every single time they're just dying. And he lives in District 12, right?
Yeah, he lives in the Victor's Village. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because it's like this neighborhood where like only he lives. And so, he has to go back to District 12 and probably see the families around maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that whole thing is really, really sad because it's like all he needed from these particular two, I think, is just, and maybe it happens every year where like he starts off disinterested and then gets built up a bit of hope and then they inevitably die. And how traumatizing that must be for him.
I think it's interesting that you bring it because like the whole purpose of the 75th game zone is to get back at Katniss, to throw her back in. But I think had they just left her alone and had made her take that mentor role, like it would have been way more damaging to her.
Oh, yeah. That's actually a good point. Just purely psychologically like that, yeah. I guess Snorri's not really interested in that, more so as just like he wants to make an example of her publicly, I would assume.
Yeah.
That doesn't really achieve that. But you're absolutely right, like on a personal level, and obviously on a political level for how it all turns out for him. There's no spoilers. But obviously would have been smarter to do that.
Last week, talked plenty about stacked cast. But you look at this and the stacked cast that this has is pretty significant. Like at the time, a lot of newcomers, sure. But like looking back, like even
Yeah.
within the games, like Jack Quaid, obviously you already mentioned, but Amanda Stenberg,
Yeah.
Alexander Ludwig, obviously,
Huge. I was shocked that he was Kato. That's another one of those ones
yeah,
I reconnected. Yeah.
obviously Josh and Jennifer, Isabella Furman, uh,
Who's she?
Clove.
Oh,
Actually,
the redhead?
was she? No, the one with the knives from District One.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She might have already been an orphan at that point, actually, but still, like she's become a pretty decent actor as well. And then obviously outside of the games, you got
Oh, yeah.
Woody and Elizabeth Banks and Donald Sutherland and
Oh, yeah.
Sinner,
Absolutely.
his actor's name.
Yeah, that's Lenny Kravitz, right?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, no, great point. Absolutely. It is stacked. I feel like there were some other recognizable faces. So
Stanley Tucci.
that was shocking
Yeah.
because I was the whole time I'm like, this guy looks so familiar.
Yeah. I was like,
but I also never would have picked it because he looks so different, But it's like, man, that was a crazy one for sure. I feel like Katniss's mum looks familiar to me. But
Yeah, I thought. Look, at first I was like Laura Dern, and but then I checked, and like obviously it's not. But
yeah,
I don't think she was in anything else from what I saw when I checked.
it was funny. I checked and she was in Sons of Anarchy and I recognized her from that. But I
Oh, really?
swear to God, there was something else as well. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah, of course. Huge shout out to Donald Sutherland. That's a great one to point out. I think he's great. I think he's great in general. I mean, we talked about he's a friend of the show now, I guess. Actually, like his performance.
What else was he?
Pride and Prejudice.
Ah,
Because I was going to bring up the fact of like, is he doing an accent? I don't know. Is he British? I don't know. Yeah, like his energy in the film is kind of interesting. I like it. Like it's like he's clearly an evil dictator, but I kind of like. I don't want to like charming's the wrong word. It's not because he's not charming, but he's like in the scenes that he has with Wes Bentley, like in those scenes. I don't know. Like I feel like
he has a disarming nature.
Yes, and I also feel like even though he's clearly evil, like I can in some way understand him. Like it doesn't feel like he's just like a tyrant for being a tyrant. Like I feel like he is a tyrant who's like, and well, I'm sure we'll see more of this in the prequel, but I feel like he has this. He's very aware of himself, and he's very philosophically like, I don't know, steadfast in his beliefs, and he knows, and I don't know, he just seems like a very confident person, I guess, and I sort of understand that. So no, I quite liked him, and the whole scene where he's like, he doesn't like an underdog, that was funny. Like, of course, the evil dictator doesn't like an underdog, so that was cool. Elizabeth Banks as well, of course. Does Effie represent District 12 only?
I like. So I think she is District 12, but I'm not. I can't remember like her relation to the capital.
Yeah,
and that.
No, I can't either. Well, she's clearly a capital dresser, no doubt about that.
Yeah, but I can't remember like if she was brought from District 12 for like if she was groomed for that role or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember. I feel like there might be some interesting backstory there. I don't remember, but yeah. How do we feel about actually the bulldog creatures and sort of the final sequence of the games, the finale to it, and sort of the action of that?
In the movie, did they mention anything about how like Katniss sees the face of the people she killed in it?
No, so
No,
I've got this trivia here. In the book, there are as many quote unquote mutts at the cornucopia as there were fallen tributes at the end. In addition, so that means there were more. But in addition, they wear collars bearing their district numbers. Their eyes are human, and their fur is the color of the hair of the fallen tribute each represents. So in the book, it is made clear that these are the mutated and reanimated remains of the fallen tributes, which is fucked. I understand why they didn't do that because that's pretty foul.
I'm not sure if it is because in the book, doesn't it say that it's not actually? It's just because like it's just the game makers trying to get at them again.
Oh,
and, like you see them taking samples at the start, like when they first get to the capital, like of like their hair and shit. Because I'm pretty sure like they are guaranteed like a safe transport, like the body is guaranteed safe transport back home.
Right, so it's like they're messing with them.
Yeah,
like, it's like a right. Okay. So that trivia is kind of wrong. Okay, I guess that makes it a bit better, but maybe the film didn't want to go out of its way to like have to explain that because just the visual of it enough would just be sort of like, I'd imagine, be quite off-putting. Compared to that being the book version, I understand not going with it, but then the movie version sort of just ends up feeling a bit generic as a result, I think. It sort of needed a little bit, I don't know, like maybe a reworked something just to make it feel a bit more unique, because it ended up just being like CGI dogs. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine, but whatever. And of course, it just pisses me off. Like the game makers bullshit of like every single time it cuts back to them and they're like, just manipulating the terrain and shit. And like, I mean, when the zone's closing in, with the fire, and when they're like, let's just they do the little touch screen, like, here are just 5 mutant dogs you have to deal with. Like every time they do that, like in a good way, it's not. It's like it just pisses me off because it's just such complete bullshit that they can just do that to them.
But like they design those dogs. Like how do they make those? Are they like artificial? Or are they just like genetically just grown up just like that?
Yeah, do they just breed them?
How much power do these guys
that?
have in this arena?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because making a tree fall over is one thing.
He just dropped
when
it.
They did that.
Yeah. But these dogs literally spawn from the ground. Like they come up.
Yes, they do. Maybe they're like, are they machines?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, are they artificial? But I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the looks we get into the control center. I just love the vibe, and just this massive map in front of you, and just people sitting around it. Bit Westworld,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just love that shit.
Yeah. You feel like you're playing like Warzone and you open the map. Where are we dropping? The ending was cool. It was. I mean, we already talked about it a little bit. It was probably like one of the weaker parts of the movie. Although I did really like that scene where Snow sets it up, where he politely asks Seneca to please kill himself now. That was pretty cool. I like that. Again, I feel like it's sort of Snow personified. It's like very, very classy, very confident, but like, he's killing you. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. The ending, like to the games itself, is good. My favorite part is just like Kato's kind of breakdown monologue thing. I think that kind of surprised me. But like, I was when he said, "I didn't know it till now, but I'm already dead." Did he mean that like literally, or was it like did he mean something else?
He might have realized the games were trying to force a winner out of Katniss.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but West Bentley like definitely tried to kill her earlier, like on the advice of Snow, because he led her to them through the fire, and he used the excuse of the barrier to lead her to the group. But yeah, it does also feel like they're championing her. So I don't know.
No, the fire comes before the chat, doesn't it?
The what?
I'm pretty sure she was just getting close to like the barrier at that point, and like they just don't want her to get.
Yeah, she was, but this is after Snow told Seneca to clamp down on Katniss, and so the fire leads her towards the river, which is where the group finds her, and then he says, "Get the cannon ready." It's intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry. I was gonna argue something pointless, but don't worry.
You just want to argue. Yeah, I can argue about nothing. Yeah.
It's good. Good content. I don't know. Not to zoom out too much, but could you argue that like he sort of realized through like by reaching that point that like the games have sort of just taken his humanity, maybe? Not to get too
that's
English
what I was
class
like.
with it.
Yeah, thinking like maybe he means it metaphorically or something, but
like. But he never thought about it properly. Like he was basically I don't know, like groomed or manipulated by the culture and everything to feel like he has to do this. And until he reached the end and sort of went through the ringer of it, he never sort of realized. He was basically confronted right at the end by everything he's done and how terrible it all is. And even if I don't think he literally, because I think he wanted to win at that point. I don't think he actually thought he was going to die, in my opinion. I think he's sort of talking about like, he wants to win and then go home, and he's realised that it's a sort of a terrible outcome as well. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
I think I got a little bit more trivia here. This is good. In the extras on the 2 DVD edition, yeah, that's what it says. Co-writer and director Gary Ross explains, "We were under tremendous financial pressure for this movie. It's under $80 million, and it's a really, really big movie. Other blockbusters cost twice or three times as much." That they do. I was surprised by this budget, but they did a good job with it for sure because it's a pretty lengthy movie as well.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised by the length. I did not remember it being a 2 hour 20 movie.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah, no, I think they did a really nice job with that overall, considering what they had to do, and especially all the sets they built and all the CG stuff they have to do in the Capitol. Like, not all of it looks incredible, but it's totally fine. Like,
I think the
I
Capitol
believe it.
might be the most obvious, like where the budget's most exposed because it does feel kind of narrow. Still pretty good.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was totally acceptable. Pan Am is located in a post-apocalyptic North America whose landmass has been reduced by rising sea levels. It is generally agreed that the capital is in the Rocky Mountains, possibly Colorado, and that District 12, where Katniss grew up, is somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains, possibly Kentucky or West Virginia.
There is a pretty decent map you can find that does show it.
Oh, like a fan-made one, but like it's.
I think there's an official. I'm not maybe not 100% official, but like there is like a decent. Like of all the maps that are made, there is a general consensus of the
that
location.
one's. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I wanted to read that one because I had no idea about that, and I thought it was pretty damn cool, actually. This one's also interesting if you're curious. Jennifer Lawrence was paid what was for her the high fee of $500,000 for this movie. It took her 3 days before she accepted the role because she was unsure how the role would affect her career, since her background was largely on the indie circuit. However, for The Hunger Games Catching Fire, she was paid $10 million, 20 times the initial offer for this film. Good for her, man.
Was she the highest earning actress for a period?
She was, yes. At some
because
point.
Between X-Men, this, and the other shit she does, right?
Yeah, she was there for a little bit. I do recall something like that. That's crazy, man.
Is she the youngest to also win the Oscar for actress?
She must be, because she would have won it when she was, 22 or 23?
Because I think I remember that as a Jeopardy question.
Cool. All right.
I just want to hit you with one more thing before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh and Chad Stahelski both did additional directing for this film.
Really? Did they really?
Yeah.
That's random.
So I'm not sure because it's just said on Letterboxd is where I saw it. So I don't know what scenes they shot. Obviously you can assume that Chad was there for some of the action stuff.
Probably.
But yeah.
And then Ocean's 8.
Sorry.
And then Gary did Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there might be some connection there. Yeah.
Do you want to take any guesses, Liam, at where Stephen had his input?
All the good scenes.
All the good scenes.
Let's get to our final verdicts for The Hunger Games. Yowie wowie. Fitzy. I think I'm in the same predicament as you are just by looking at your face, by the way.
Yeah, he probably deserves an 8. Wow, this is the first time I've actually I actually feel the conflict, First time in a while. I give it a 7. I give it a 7. It's very good. Maybe I take it back. It doesn't really fizzle out, but it's definitely stronger in the first half.
Yeah. Oh man. I'll copy you and I'll give it a strong 7. I'm in the same boat between the two, but I'll give it a strong 7 just because I've got a feeling I want to leave that wriggle room for maybe giving a future film a higher score. I'll say that. Jaden, what about you?
Yeah, I'll give it an 8. It is just one of the cleanest book to film adaptations. The cleanest is the wrong word, purest, I guess.
Sure.
It does change it does have its share change of things. Yeah, I think that's another important aspect to bring up. And I think it does probably have to do with Susan is credited as a writer on this film as well, not just as source material. So.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to get to Mockingjay Part 2 and 1 as well, because I've only seen Mockingjay Part 2 once, because by that time in the cinema, I saw it in the theater, but by that time I was I'd already been in Hunger Games for years at that point, and I was sort of on the outs with it, but of course I was going to watch it, so I only saw that one once. But I'm just curious because the books are all pretty much the same length, so I'm just curious to see how they handle the 2-part split and if it ends up on a rewatch feeling justified or not.
It was a controversial choice at the time.
Understandably so, yeah. But it's like, I don't think the lengths of the books necessarily has to dictate that. It'll just end up, for me, it's just going to end up being about watching it and seeing how it feels, I think. Because like Half-Blood Prince is bigger than Deathly Hallows, but I still think the 2-part Deathly Hallows is a great choice. So,
Yeah. 3-part Hobbits.
Oh well, yeah. Maybe
Twilight.
that less so.
Part 1, 2, Breaking Dawn, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, when are we going to do Twilight?
I think there was a trend at that point of just splitting the finale.
Yeah,
even
definitely.
Allegiant was fucking split in two, which is
Was it really?
Yeah.
Damn. Did they split 50 Shades, or was that just, did they just do that clean? I think
Is
they
there
just did it
3
clean.
of those? I don't know. Yeah, I think there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. There you go. The one and only time 50 Shades is coming up on this podcast, guys.
Well, I think 50 Shades Darker and Free was just put on Stan. So I mean, it's there available if we want to do it as the next series.
Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I've been watching some stuff. I've been catching up on some films of the previous year and a half.
To me, from the outside looking in, if you don't mind me saying, it screamed that you had a strong political thriller-ish sort of week.
Oh yeah, I did. I watched Nixon, the Oliver Stone film, among other films. I watched Puss in Boots: Last Wish, which was like really awesome. Yeah, it was just super entertaining. I think I've enjoyed it. It's like one of the animation films that have like come after Spider-Verse. That's like kind of been influenced that I've probably like enjoyed the most, I guess. So yeah, that was really good. And I also watched Guardians, which was also good.
Very, very nice. I last night I watched A Single Man, and by doing so, I completed the filmography of Tom Ford because he's made 2 movies. So I was happy about that. And this movie's great, man. I really enjoyed it. It had more of a philosophical sort of slant than I definitely expected. But Colin Firth is phenomenal. God, what a fantastic performance. And I don't know, it's just a really, really solid watch. It definitely, I would need to like take notes and think about it more. We would need to like do a review of it for me to like get close, I think. But for me, I would just say that like I can see nocturnal animals in it in some way, like visually. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I can see it there for sure. And the film's use of color is very, very interesting. It does this interesting thing where, based on the mood of the character, like the color grading of a shot will change mid shot, and it does it a lot. And it's quite. I can see maybe some people getting annoyed by it, but I thought it was quite clever. I liked it, and the score's really beautiful as well. So yeah, no, really, really liked it a lot. If you like nocturnal animals, and also it's only 90 minutes, which was a blast. So yeah, and I looked up and I was happy to learn that Tom Ford's apparently developing another movie. So I guess he makes, it's almost like he makes a film almost exactly every 8 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it like 7-year intervals or something? Because like
it's 8 years. Yeah. 2008 to 16 to, he's doing one now, so it might come out in 25-ish, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
He's mainly like a fashion designer, though, right? Like that's
he's a fashion. Yeah, that's
and like he's still releasing collections and shit.
Well, he recently sold, I think, for like billions of dollars.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's sort of out, I think in doing so, he's sort of out of that world now, to my understanding. So yeah, it's pretty cool that he because that's what he is first and foremost, but he also just happens to have made 2 cool films basically. Have you guys seen the film? Sorry, I didn't even think to ask.
No.
It's on SBS. Jaden, what about you?
I watched Justice Society World War II, which is a DC animated film. Back on that train. It was there was one major issue with it, which was that they're trying to lean into the Gal Gadotness of Wonder Woman, and they've given her like some shit accent, which I'm not sure if that's the actress's natural accent, because I had a look. She's Canadian. She's not fucking Israeli or from an island in South America. But they've gone that direction. It really fucking annoys me, and I think she's been cast as Wonder Woman in the next few animated films as well. So I'm not looking forward to that at all. The movie itself was decent. It was alright. As far as DC animation goes, it was pretty standard. But please bring back Rosario Dawson for Wonder Woman.
Oh, so Rosario like has played her historically in the animated stuff.
Yeah, she's voiced her a few times. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It,
So I assume this was is it a brand new film or is it maybe a few years?
2021 or two. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's like pockets of the DC animated stuff where like you see different casts and different kind of storylines.
Well, like casts are maintained for like brief. Okay.
So I think like anything directed by this guy called Sam Liu. I think in that like if Wonder Woman's in it, I think it's been Rosario.
Gotcha.
And she's great. She's a great Wonder Woman.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I like Rosario. You should start a change.org for that, I think. Cool. All right. Now comes the segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, do you honestly think you could win the Hunger Games? And if not, where would you place? Luke, obviously, if it wasn't evident by his answer, also approved the question. So thank you, Luke. Luke wrote in, oh my God, and said, how I would win the Hunger Games. I'm assuming that given that we're pretty well off in life, we aren't in a povo district, so I'll probably get some kind of sponsorship. All I would need is a pencil. The games would be over straight away. Step 1. I run into the start where all the resources are. Boom, headlock, one guy's dead. Block, uppercut, second guy dead. This is very, I must just say, like very, I don't know, optimistic view of his own physical ability here, I would say. Now there's about 8 people left because people would have died around me. One guy comes at me, block, dodge, throat punch, and he's down. 3 guys look at each other and all charge me at once. One has a throwing knife, the other a spear, the other a bow and arrow. The first guy throws the spear. I catch it. Use it to block the throwing knife. I dodge the arrow. While he's reloading, boom, throwing knife to the eye, dead. Kill the other 2 with the spear. Now there's 1 person left. Now, so first of all, like, I love how it's like invented the scenario. Like, you can't account for, well, hang on, what if the guy just comes up behind you and stabs you? You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's Luke's story. I don't mean to hijack. I apologize. Now we're getting to the real stuff here. Now there's 1 person left. She's a girl. She's strong, but you can tell there's a sensitivity to her. She's attracted to me, not in a sexual way, but in the sort of, this guy seems like a good time. So we hit it off, go on a few dates. She meets the parents and they hit it off. We don't really meet her parent though, because there's a lot of trauma there. But she really grows a part of my family. We get married, have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Is this exposing like Luke's actual like dream scenario or something? I don't know. Anyway, but then work gets busy, so I stop making time for her. That also sounds somewhat realistic. At first, she understands, but eventually it starts to take its toll. Then one day, out of nowhere, I divorce her. She's upset, crying. She signs the papers with a pencil from the start. She dies of heartache. I win the Hunger Games. Wow. Like, have you ever considered becoming a novelist or something? I don't know.
So this whole fantasy life occurs within the Hunger Games, right? Like there's not a 2 victor situation and they leave. Like he's still playing in the games.
I didn't think so.
No.
So like, I sort of now, like you've created some deep art here because now I'm sort of like, I sort of almost take the second half as like metaphor in some way. Unless is he playing with the rules maybe that like he could win with this girl? No, but they wouldn't be from the same district.
No.
Yeah, this is weird. So maybe it's this situation where like he actually does just kill her in the moment at the cornucopia. But this is like he's having this.
He's lost in like a psychosis.
Yes. And he has this vision, but it's like the unreliable narrator, you know.
It's like I just saw a quote this week where it's like, "Good writing is where there's gay sex. Great writing is where you can infer gay sex." That's what we're doing here. We're inferring the gay sex.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. We're inferring the fact you just murdered her at the cornucopia. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that was deep, Luke. Thank you very much for that. Andy says the entire playthrough would exactly be the same as Luke's answer, but the outcome is different. I die. That's my answer. I'm not the best at the Hunger Games. Nah, fair play, Andy. I respect your honesty. I think if we're all being honest, we'd have the same answer. I think Luke should have the same answer. Who do you reckon would have the best chance actually at winning the Hunger Games?
Well, I've got a few number one victory royales and
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
few a few chicken dinners and a few other wins across battle royale. So I think I've
So you're nominating yourself?
yeah, if I get the
Okay.
right equipment.
Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. You got the strategies down. Okay.
Liam can
No,
testify to that. Yeah.
What games? What?
What?
Wait.
Don't act as if every time we've played together on Apex.
Battle Royale. Oh, Apex. Oh.
Did I
I mean, you
not
didn't
damage you
win
every time?
once.
Huh?
Oh, okay. I mean, maybe. I don't think we won like twice.
Yeah, probably.
I think Fitzy blanked out Apex Legends from his memory, like the entire thing.
Mm.
But to answer the question, probably come in like a strong
Yes.
like 14th.
Okay, that's not strong, by the way, but
Nah, it's decent.
so no, in these games, how many didn't like it was half done by the end of the first like
Yeah, but it
minutes, right?
it depends on the arena they give you. They said some end in an hour, some end in some take fucking a month.
Some Hunger Games ended an hour, really?
Yeah, just depends on the
I guess that
arena and
makes
depends
sense.
on the kids.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's I feel like that's bad TV. I don't know why they do that, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that impressed by 14th, to be honest. I don't know. You sound impressed by it, but
Well, you think you're going to do better than fucking 14th?
oh god, no, absolutely not. But I don't know. Like for me, I'm no. So I'm looking for the suicide options, and luckily there's actually a few of them. I loved the scene in the movie where they, where it was Cinna, right? Reminded Katniss not to step off the podium early because you'll blow sky high.
Mm.
And as soon as he said that, it was like, oh, that's fucking great. You're telling me I don't have to do this? And it's like I get an instant easy death, just like handed to me on a plate. That's fantastic. So yeah, that's fantastic. I would definitely intentionally step off that podium, no doubt about that. Another option, you know how there's that dumbass girl who lights the fire, and then Kato's crew come and kill her. I feel like I'm meant to just think she's dumb, and she probably is. But I have some headcanon where like it was her elaborate suicide attempt, where she knew that she didn't give a fuck. She knew that she was going to die by lighting the fire. But it was like, if I'm going to die in the games, if I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to have a schmore, I'm going to light a goddamn fire and have a marshmallow, And then that was like her huge moment on the way out. So maybe I'd do something like that if I wanted to be a bit more adventurous. But yeah, I don't know. If I actually tried to win the Hunger Games, I would place like 10th probably because, and I don't know, 10th in terms of, we'll say in terms of these games in this movie, because I'd run away immediately. Wouldn't have much of a problem, therefore, surviving like the cornucopia section because I wouldn't even get involved. And then I'd probably like 3 hours later fail to outrun the zone, or or me, I'd die of dehydration in like 3 hours. So I reckon that's where I'd place around there.
I was going to say I don't remember the Apex Legends days, but I remember the Fortnite days where your strat was that strat checks out. Your running strat. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that did happen a few times, didn't it? Where we just died in the zone. I think I remember that. Oh my god. Yeah, for sure. Fitzy, do you have a chance?
No, but I feel like it's better just to try, just to go for the center, just to see what happens.
Give him good television.
Yeah, exactly. Just get like the bluntest weapon you can, and just give it a shot. I mean, I'll probably die 90% chance, but there's a 10% chance I come out on top.
10%? Give me a little 10%. That's pretty good. I'll take that. If I genuinely felt I had a 10% chance of winning, I'd try for my life. But
well, you can always hit the big guy from behind. It's always a possibility, It's always a possibility that he's distracted, or engaged.
That's true. I guess I'm just really scared of dying in a way. Oh, full stop. But I guess I'm really scared of dying like by being like brutally stabbed. Like that sounds terrible, Or like
everyone else is getting stabbed, so
yeah, but I don't want to get stabbed. That's why I'd rather jump off the podium, Or like the idea of getting my neck snapped. It's like, oh.
So like in the second one, when with the water there, would you try and drown yourself?
No. That's terrible. No, that's actually. I'd rather get stabbed than trying to drown. Oh my god. Drowning yourself is like, that's the worst. I couldn't even imagine.
agony.
That sounds like hell.
Yeah, as the Prestige guy said, pure agony. Remember that?
Mm,
No, I
yeah.
actually didn't, but I agree with him. I agree with him totally. Yeah, that's the worst, man. I totally forgot about that from Catching Fire, but we'll get there soon.
It took so much in me last night to not just keep them going.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I've
Did
been
you
wanting to
consider?
rewatch them. So like, yeah, that's show
Did you
restraint.
consider jumping to the next one and then like rewatching it in a month?
Yeah, I don't know if that would harm my perception of it in a month's time.
Yeah, probably would actually.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Good job showing some restraint. I think.
Mm.
I applaud you, sir. As always, we'd love you to submit your responses, thoughts, and/or reviews for next week's film in the YouTube comment section, the Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server. This week, the specific question we'll be asking you is: how are you feeling about the state of the MCU right now? Are you excited for the future? Let us know. I feel like there's a few different things going on in the MCU at the moment with some of the latest releases and
The actors.
true. Yeah, I actually didn't even think of that, but that's totally true. And because that actually is like, I'm not one for like getting into real world drama a lot, but like that actually it is pretty significant to the future of the whole thing, I would argue. So that's definitely a thing. And I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of a conversation rising up that people are sort of just starting to get sick of it. I don't know how accurate that is, but I feel like I've seen it a couple times. So yeah,
Yeah,
let
but
us
the
know what
Marvels are
you.
still going to make $1.5 billion, and then it's going to continue.
Nah, it's all good. Nah, it's not. Nah.
No?
Buddy, how much did Guardians make? Like, it wasn't definitely didn't crack a bell.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of in the mid, maybe to slightly higher, like hundreds of thousands range right now. I think sort of where they're at. But
Hundreds
I
of
guess it's always
millions.
been standard with like the releases, these kind of releases. Sorry, what'd you say?
You said hundreds of thousands, which is exceptionally low. Hundreds of millions.
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh
If
my
they're
god,
making
yeah.
100,000, I mean, like they would have cancelled the entire thing after that.
Oh, no doubt, absolutely. So yeah, let us know, Luke. I expect an essay from you, just so you know. Let's get to a special poll announcement. Jade and
Oh
I will be
God.
going head to head. Oh man, get the drum rolls going. Jaden, do you wanna go
No, no,
first here?
no, no.
Or
You're
oh no,
first.
yeah, it's sort of the whole thing. Yeah, okay.
You
So actually,
respect me.
I had two options prepared, thinking you might go first, so I could counter. But so now I just have to choose one of my two options. So I think yours is going to be pretty strong. I just get that vibe. So I'm going to make sure I have solid competition, and I'm going to say, oh, has this been nominated before? I don't know, but I'm nominating Zodiac. Have I nominated that before?
That is very strong, and I do kind of hope we watch your movie.
Oh, cool.
I'm nominating Tar.
Oh
Uh,
shit. Oh man, you're lucky. I was close to watching that last night.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was like.
no,
That's why I thought it might be your film because it came on Netflix. Like I don't know, this week or last week, and I was like, oh, yeah.
yeah. Nice. Okay, well, I'd be totally happy with either. So that's good. That's a pretty strong poll right there. Make sure you head to the Instagram page about 24 hours after, after this episode goes live, and cast your vote if we'll be watching Zodiac or Tar in a fortnight's time. That's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
Next week, as the MCU question would suggest, we're doing well, I guess it's an indie film. It's called Past Lives. It's about this Korean woman who has this long lost love, kind of childhood friend, and she like reconnects with him, and it's about that kind of romantic shit. So yeah,
Huge spoilers.
yeah, that's in the theaters, in the cinemas.
At
Is it
the
actually though?
Melbourne International Film Festival.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, can we even tell anyone
Is
to
it?
go and see it? Like,
Yeah. Well, it's not like if it were released yet, but if you
I
want to
think
get a
some.
bit,
I think other countries have had their turn.
have they?
okay, all right, but yeah, we are in this like a little early window. I think that's all good. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to Liam and Jane for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your week and goodbye.